Hello, I'm Toycat, and one of Minecraft's most underutilized features has to be this menu. This allows you to choose the start for your Minecraft world. That can be a spawn in a bamboo jungle, an abandoned village, or even on top of a woodland mansion. This is made possible by Minecraft themselves seeking out seeds that meet all of these criteria, and this is something they have done for the seed template menu, which was introduced in 1.18 as a replacement for the seed picker, but they also had to replace every single seed. This is great. We have 20 free seeds now instead of 18, but they're all different seeds, and more importantly, they're all just images, so how do you know what any of these seeds is actually like? The Mangrove Swamp sounds like a really great spawn, but all you can see is that it comes with a frog. Today, I figured I would do the world a favor and go through each of these seeds and show you what they look like, and most importantly, rate them out of 10. This is because I did it back in 2020, but all of those seeds are gone now, and there are quite a few seeds with no replacement we'll be talking about, but for now, let's go into all of the new 20 free seed picker seeds and let you know what they're actually like for a variety of categories. With that said, I think we need to dive straight into the first one, the Deep Dark. Because this image of the Deep Dark is very interesting, but it's also very non-descriptive of what a seed with it would actually look like, and so let's find that out for ourselves right now. I actually am curious about this because this is not a Deep Dark, by the way. This is not any type of Deep Dark. It looks more like a mesa biome, which I think we have in fact spawned in. A very big mesa biome with very big mountains, so I like this spawn, but it's not yelling Deep Dark at me, so presumably we have to look around for a cave entrance. It looks like down here will probably be it, and in that cave entrance you'll find the Deep Dark. I don't see it from here, but maybe from over here you'll see the Deep Dark somewhere in there. Okay, so I do have to say I'm missing it, but maybe if you run around enough of this, you'll eventually find it. This is a very nice spawn in terms of having a big mountain that conceals a cave. This is one of the coolest types of spawn to me, and it's made even better by the fact that it's a mesa, so you're gonna find gold all over this place if you go below Y40, which actually we might not be. So I do think that this is a very intriguing spawn. How often do you spawn and are immediately attacked by endermen and creepers? It does have to be said, very interesting, but where's the Deep Dark? I have to assume you're gonna have to dig down for this, but that doesn't make too much sense to me, but let's do it anyway. Where is the Deep Dark? Let's dig down and let's see if we find it right down here. So this is a second cave with more dripstone in it, and this dripstone cave has a Lush Cave attached, but that's every biome but the Deep Dark. So maybe if we keep heading down, oh, okay, there we go. So that looks like a sign of a Deep Dark over there, and that Deep Dark is in fact the Ancient City. So it's weird because they didn't say Ancient City at spawn, they just used this image, and they didn't say Deep Dark at spawn, but they implied that you would spawn right here, but you have to dig through multiple caves and run across them, and so as far as the, the Bedrock seed finding community goes, this isn't the best of the best, but it is very nice to have some of the best, loot chests right here at spawn, so I guess I can give it a small pass, but, yeah, I do think, unless this seed is drastically incredible, or there's some amazing way in here that makes it so much better, this is at least slightly misleading. This isn't true to its name, so as we dig up, you can see there is the Lush Cave here, and then if we dig up a little bit more, we should hopefully see the surface. So I'm going to be rating each of these seeds to get the out of 10 rating on 4 separate criteria out of 5. I'm going to be ranking the spawn area, because the spawn is the most important part for seed. It's what you spawn into. This isn't a bad spawn. It's misleading, but it is above average in terms of having, or it's at the very least average because it doesn't have a lot of biomes, but it has what might be most people's favorites, and it has a lot of jungle, so that's going to be a 3 out of 5 in my opinion. Then we're going to go by uniqueness. I think that it's not an amazingly unique spawn. It's a big mesa which has mountains, the flats, as well as the bryce, so it's kind of nice on that level, but mesa to jungle is not amazingly unique, so 2 out of 5. For utility, I'm going to give this a 4 out of 5, because not only do we get this mesa, which is lovely, we get the cave, which is covered in gold, we get all of these trees, so that's handy, we get all of the cave biomes, and most importantly, if you need to leave this biome, you're not, even though it's big, you're not stranded in it. That's important to me. So mountains and jungle and mesa, combine it together and you get yourself a killer combo. Do you want iron? Head over here. Do you want coal? Head over here. Do you want gold? Go over there. You've got all of the decent stuff really easily accessible, and then if you want to go find other things, it's still really quite easy to get there. So utility gives this a 4 out of 5, and the final category that we need to use is of course the Nether, which means we're gonna go as close to spawn as we can and make a portal. It doesn't matter how great your seed is if when you go to the Nether, it's an entirely unusable mess of Soul Sand Valley, so having a decent mixture of biomes in there is important, but most importantly, having a decent spawn location is great too, and this definitely fits that bill. 2 biomes at spawn is better than average, that's for sure, and so I would say 3 out of 5, but the fact that then it's 2 nice biomes, the 2 best you could argue, means this is a solid 4 out of 5 never. There is very little that can beat this. In fact, 4 out of 5, 4.5 out of 5 is what I'm going to give this, which complicates the overall score. But then we average these down and we get the overall out of 10 score, which is 7.25 out of 10. I had to do the maths on the spot there. That is actually pretty decent. I do believe that there should be like a misleadingness index if too many more of these seeds start spawning you over 100 blocks from the title, but I'm hoping that doesn't happen with the Mangrove Swamp and its frog on a lily pad. I better spawn in the Mangrove Swamp, not just vaguely able to see it. There are so many Minecraft seeds where you will spawn in each of these things that it's bizarre for them not to use one where you are exactly there. So let's see what we get here. Is it a Mangrove Swamp? Yeah! You better... No, technically not. Damn it, Minecraft. There are so many seeds, but you would spawn in the Mangrove Swamp. Why spawn me just outside of it? But I think this is close enough that I'm not going to fault it. In fact, it's actually pretty cool to see a Mangrove Swamp with random savanna trees in here. So pretty darn cool, all things considered. And there's my Mangrove Swamp frog. I am very happy now. I got my frogs. I got my trees. What more can you need to be pleased? Looking around from the top, this is actually a very small savanna biome surrounded by a lot of mangrove swamp, which is very intriguing to say the least. And also you can see some different biomes off in the distance, so it's not just red or orange which you have the choice for, but also oak and then birch and then also some spruce and then also maybe some dark oak. You've got a decent selection of wood, almost all of them in the game, which is very nice. But yeah, I do have to say this is a mangrove swamp of decent size, which is probably what you want when you're spawning into a mangrove swamp, so can't fault it, but then also giving you nice options for other biomes. I think that's pretty good. Then we're gonna have to go check out the Nether to give it a full rating overall, but I think as far as spawn goes, it's you know, like it's a 2 out of 5. It's very much accurate. This isn't a misleading spawn, but I don't think this is what you need in a spawn. I don't think it's what anyone wants in a spawn. Maybe if enough time passed, the mangrove swamp will become this cool niche biome, like how the jungle was everywhere and then it was nowhere. Maybe that's what people will see from it. But right now, the mangrove swamp is going to be a 2 out of 5. For utility, this is going to be a solid 3 out of 5 because it does have all those wood types, just no structures to go with it, no real helps in terms of anything else. There is a nice cave down, which might give us some real points here if it goes to anything too valuable. It actually does lead you to some exposed diamonds. I say exposed diamonds, some exposed diamond. So having 1 diamond in the early game, I'll give it a half point. I'll throw it a bone for the fact that it is direct access in 1 cave to a free diamond, and probably maybe more if you were to come here. So I'll give it a 3.5 for utility. For uniqueness though, I hate to drag this seed, but there are way more seeds in the sea like this. I think giving it a 1 out of 5 would be fair, but I think to be fair for, you know, most people, having a savanna in there allows me to give it a 2 out of 5 and say, yeah, you've got different biomes as well, you've got the nice cave, you've got options. However, the Nether might be where this seed can earn some of those points back, so let's see what we arrive at. Oh, no. Oh, okay. Oh, man. Not only is this... Oh, yeah, this is dire. Not only is it a basalt delta, but also it's like into a kind of like a little cave. So you might get lucky with your spawn location of the Nether if you travel like 100 blocks or 200 blocks first, but it looks like this is a huge basalt delta. You might like the basalt delta, and I like the way it looks, but it's terrible not just because it's so poor for survivability, but also you can't find bastions here. That's slightly offset by having a ruined portal right over here and having 21 iron nuggets. I'm going to give this a 1.5 out of 5 because you can technically get worse. But by so little, you know, no, we're giving this a 1 out of 5, and if it gets worse than this, then we have to give it less than 1 out of 5, because this is terrible. That gives me an overall rating of pretty bad, actually. So with that said, let's move into the 3rd seed, which says it spawns you in a snowy village, but then spawns you in what might be the exact opposite of that. I mean, it's nice, you got your pigs, you got your chickens, and you do have your snowy village right ahead, but something Minecraft used to do for the seed picker is they would describe things like this as Outpost Ahead, or Stronghold Ahead, but this is not described as Snowy Village Ahead, it's described as Snowy snowy village, which is a slightly confusing thing, but I'm sure for the seed picker that's what they're going for. It's just a bit of an odd image to use when clearly you do have to go there. But yeah, you get not only a snowy village ahead on this seed, but you also get, nicely enough, an outpost. The outpost is so close to the village that it actually will cause you problems, so for some players that's not a cool, unique, quirky fact, that's actually a really annoying one, but for me, I think this is fun, a rare opportunity to see one of Minecraft's least seen villager types. It is also going to be a great way for you to start a world with some free iron if you give up on the village being able to defend itself, and also it is near an iceberg and an ice spikes biome, two very nice looking biomes. Oh, and also, whoa, look at that, there's just a fully grown shipwreck over there. This is, okay, you know, I can forgive them having the slight walk to this biome for the fact that there's a full shipwreck, there is a full ice spikes, and there's lava over here too. Okay, for spawn area, I'm gonna give this a 4 out of 5. For utility, look at this. We have not only iron, we have not only lava and ice, which is so useful. Later on in the game, if you can mine some of this iceberg biome, you have yourself a boataway built into the world, and then also you've got a pillager outpost, so you can get your first raid going pretty much easy, you know, without having to wait for one of those. And then also on top of that, this is all snowy biome, so if you prefer snow to rain, this world has got you covered. And then on top of that, I would say the only major downside is that you don't have a huge biome diversity, but that can be solved by getting on a boat and using the frozen rivers. So honestly, not a terrible spawn, absolute 4.5 out of 5. There are better spawns out there, but this is really nice if you wanted the snowy village anyway. You are getting that snowy village and a whole bunch of bonus. Yeah, sorry, a 4.5 for utility, I should say. The spawn area is a 4 out of 5. The uniqueness of this, though, is going to be down to 3 out of 5. I do have to admit, the ice spikes biome is rare, but you will find them oftentimes, not that far from these villages. Finding a village far from a outpost is not that rare. All of these things individually are not that rare, and you probably don't care about all 5 of them together. Let's see how the nether stacks up, though. Again, this is something that is very important to me, and when you spawn in a big crimson forest, you can count yourself lucky that it's not one of the worst biomes, but also, when it's a bit too big, it becomes a problem in its own right. This does give you a ruined portal, so that does save some of the problems from that, but you will be traveling in this Crimson Forest for a while, and so you'll always have to be on guard for piglins, although at least not on guard for ghasts, because even this entire lava pit right here is surrounded on all sides by Crimson Forest. If you like the Crimson Forest, you can mentally rate this a 5 out of 5. For me, I'm giving this like a 3, maybe a 3.5 out of 5 to be generous, because it's good, but it's not the best. So this is a nice seed. If you just want to start up a Minecraft world and you have a bias towards snow, this is the best one so far, and probably the best one on the entire list. But we'll see after we check out the Lush Cave, which I'm starting to think means Lush Cave, somewhere somewhat near spawn. I really pray that I'm wrong, but I'm not wrong. Okay, so this is my Lush Cave spawn. It is very nice, as you can see. Giving me immediate access to 3 types of wood is wonderful, but how do I feel about the Lush Caves? And that answer is that if they're in this cave, I will count that. Obviously, spawning in a cave is not something Minecraft probably sees as intentional, so no, it's not in this cave. Okay, so obviously spawning, is it over here? Is it at least directly below spawn? No, it's not very easily accessible from spawn. Oh, actually, maybe if it's in... There we go. Okay, so if you follow this cave along, or you can jump into it from a different angle, you can see there is a Lush Cave immediately exposed, actually, with water to get you down here. So even though it wasn't the first way I went, I'll admit this is readily accessible. It's not that visible, but that makes it kind of great. Immediate access to the azalea trees. At some point, that might be useful. Immediate access to food, which might be useful if you hurt yourself on the way down here. And immediate access to all the goodies of a cave. That is really great. There are a lot of people who still haven't played around with these, you know, like lily pad stuff, because it's fun for making silly parkour, even impromptu. You can now use this seed as an opportunity to do that straight from spawn. Please recover. This is a very interesting place. I am a big fan of it, and overall, I'm gonna have to say, pretty nice. However, it is a pretty small Lush Cave, it does need to be said. Maybe you could argue that because it's so close to spawn, that cancels out, but there are definitely bigger Lush Caves out there that don't end almost immediately after one tiny little cave segment, so it's not the best of Lush Caves. But what about above the ground? What do you have in store for you if you started a whole new world for Lush Caves, but still desperately need to play Minecraft? Because of course we all do. Well, let me give you the answer, because on the surface up here, it looks as though we have a lot of roof forest with a lovely mountain to the side. So as you can see, we go from 3 trees to 4 trees to 5 trees of that cherry grove. Okay, I'm starting to like this spawn area. It is not a great one in terms of, I wouldn't say this is the best spawn anyone should start with, but if you want the Lush Cave and you want a bit of biome diversity, which to you might include mountains, this is a good place to start. This is a 3 out of 5 spawn. I'm not going to fault it too badly. For utility, it's a 2 out of 5 because, you know, as much as you might love the drip stones? No, the drip leaves. You know, everything has to drip in caves, doesn't it? But as much as you might love those drip leaves, the truth is they're not actually that useful, especially in the early game. For uniqueness, though, I can give this seed a 2.5 out of 5 because you usually won't find a nice cave by spawn and find a decent biome variety. Look, it goes into plains after this. There is a really nice bit of biome diversity along this like positive axis, so make sure you go this way. You can even find a lovely plains biome, not that fit for building houses on, but at least something. Yeah, I do have to say that as far as the overworld goes, this is something I like, but not something I love. And if you are to go into the Nether via the nearest ruin portal, which is often where people will go, if not directly at spawn, then you'll spawn right here. Okay, you're gonna go down, not up, that's for sure. So spawning quite high is not a bad thing. It can be a good thing if you don't hit lava, like I definitely did. But yeah, you spawn in a big cave system, which is it's a negative mark to me, but it is something you can try to avoid. Apparently, no, there's no way you're avoiding that. This is endless that in every direction. But if we go into spectator, because apparently that's what we're going to need for this, we can see that the Nether is not that bad everywhere. No, it really is. Whoa. You spawn in just a series of caves, but outside of those caves, the biomes are better. So if you later make a better Nether portal spawn, you can get yourself a almost 5 out of 5 Nether if you're willing to put up with a 2 out of 5 to begin with. I think if we average those two things out, I think we can say that for a long-term world, this is a 4 out of 5. Maybe it's a 3 out of 5 for anyone else who's not in this for the year-long process and who just hates spawning in a cave every time. And so I think we'll give it 3.5 out of 5 just to balance those, giving an overall score that is, you know, respectable, I guess. Template number 5 is called Jagged Peaks, and really interestingly to me, the world seed is not a 12-digit mess, but is instead just 297. So do we spawn facing some goats on a mountain bolt? Let's find out. Well, I can certainly say that you spawn facing a mountain, as well as a giant meadow, as well as behind me, it looks like that is the massive bowl, and there's some polar bears here. Oh no, I was promised goats, I was not promised some polar bears. These guys, they like to attack, and they really mean it. So this is an interesting spawn because it is very mountainous. Even the most non-mountainous parts that were just behind me, the meadow, that is still technically a mountain biome, and so I think this is a good seed for someone who wants to have some steep terrain that maybe is going to cause them some problems. Although, you know, is causing problems with polar bears really what we want? Maybe not. This is a very intriguing spawn, that's for sure. Okay, once you pass the mountain on this side, you can see there's a fairly normal forest, but interestingly enough to me is the fact that if you pass that, it's just more mountains, and then even some frozen peaks and some cherry groves. I really do like that. I think that it takes from a spawn that would be mostly negative besides being unique into being a fairly serviceable one. This is a 3 out of 5 spawn that is a 4.5 out of 5 for uniqueness. Like, do you often get to spawn in these biomes? Not very much, and being able to live a world which is basically all of that would be incredible. This is a weird way to play Minecraft, and you might really love that. However, for utility, I'm going to say you don't have most of the usual valuable things. Having a few lava pits and caves kind of helps to balance it, and I'm sure you could find some decent caves and ancient cities, but as far as the actual how utilitarian is this, it's got to be a 2 out of 5, right? Like, there's lots of trees you can eventually find, but they are few and far between, and they're all mountainous, so kind of depending on what you want, this could be a 2.5 out of 5. I'll give it the benefit of the doubt and say, yeah, technically speaking, a lot of people who would load up this seed would be really down with the mountains and maybe wouldn't mind it as much as the average player. And then there's only one question left to answer, and that is what happens when we go to the Nether. So we do this from the exact spawn area, of course, very important, and when we arrive in the Nether, we conclude that one, this is kind of mountainous too, which is funny, right? I mean, look at this. But two, we conclude it is all a crimson forest, which is, you know, good as far as Nether spawns go. I think it's always better when you have the choice to get out of one of these biomes, but at the very least, you can spawn in, make your Nether portal, and have a 0% chance of a ghast destroying it, which is a big win. I mean, having hoglins destroy you is another thing altogether. And having, oh yeah, there's some Nether wastes over here. What could have just been a pretty good average Nether, and then we got Basalt Delta if you want it. This to me is a 4 out of 5 Nether. It is very solid. It's not the very best, but this is a nice seed, I have to say, and so it gets a nice rating if you balance out the bad things. Bamboo forest is something I can easily see why somebody would want, and so the idea of being spawned into one actually is quite nice. Instead of chopping down trees to get your wood, you can chop down bamboos, and now you can actually combine those all together. So actually, this is a seed that does seem to provide not only wood at the spawn, a lot of very easy wood, but also food and pets, if you don't mind that they only friend you now, they don't actually let you tame them. It also does spawn opportunities for creepers to spawn, and indeed for one of the more interesting types of wood. This is a very intriguing spawn on that level. I would have to say that looking around, the bamboo forest is providing exactly what you might want. However, what else does it have besides just the titular biome? Well, clearly, as we go up to this mountain, this is a clear second biome. I was just saying that some people like the idea of a mountain spawn, and this is great for not only that, but I've said this before, the idea of being able to get so much calcite in an easily farmable place is one of the big benefits of mountains, and this gives you just enough of a mountain that you could build your first house out of one without it being really intimidating on the skyline. Having a bunch of ocean that's next to that is maybe not the perfect and most ideal thing afterwards, but overall I would say, yeah, this is a decent enough spawn with a bamboo mainland, with a mountain it leads up to, with a couple of islands off the coast, one of which has a huge lava pit in. Wow, that's interesting. I guess it makes me want to go to the Nether right here, right now, before we rank the overworld, but we have to do that right now. What is this overworld? I would have to say, for a spawn, this is good. You know, there's a lot of subjectiveness in biomes and what's good or not, but if you were to like the bamboo forest and it's one of your favorite places, this would be a 4 out of 5 spawn. It gives you lots of good stuff. It gives you lots of ores and calcite up the mountain. It gives you lava just over here and endless ocean if you want to go explore more things. So I would say for a spawn, this is 4 out of 5. For utility, I'm also going to go ahead and give this a 4 out of 5. It does have a lot of very good stuff. It's close to being a 5 out of 5, but without any structure to help you bridge the gap. You have to basically just go into the ocean. I think that it would be silly to give this the full 5 marks, and so yeah, this is a nice enough seed for lots of overworld reasons, if you don't mind having to go for a boat if you want to find something that's too different from a jungle. However, what about the Nether? This is the crucial final mark, and I am very curious personally. Okay, so I'm gonna be honest with you, not a lot of promise here. I see there's a big lava pit and we're in a Nether waste, which means ghasts spawn here. Not just one ghast, 2 ghasts. And your nearest non-Nether waste biome is gonna be a soul sand valley. So, okay, that's kind of off the cards. So what you have to do, if you wanted to go anywhere on this seed in survival, is you'd have to tunnel through this over to the other side. Then once you're on the other side, you just have another lava pit, so tunnel through some more mountain or follow this along. And if you were to do that, then eventually, okay, what was going to be a 1 out of 5 Nether has been saved into a 2 out of 5 because you can sort of find a Crimson Forest. However, most of the reason you're going to be coming here is to find a Nether Fortress, and I do have to say that it could be worse, the journey to one, but it actually does take you a solid, what is that, like 600 blocks from spawn? It's not ideal, but it could be worse, and ultimately, it would be a Nether journey that you wouldn't hate yourself for. You would just think like, wow, this sure is taking some time. And so, can I recommend this seed on the basis of its Nether? No. Can I recommend it based on the overworld? Probably, actually, yeah. If you also, I could say, if you love soul sand valleys, Nether wastes, and don't mind walking for everything that's actually useful, this is an even better Nether for you. But for me, it's a 2 out of 5. But that's still a pretty decent overall score, right? So this next seed describes itself as a mushroom island, and the seed number is quite short here too, it should be noted. However, Minecraft does not like to spawn you on a mushroom island. So what does it instead look like? Well, you spawn on a jungle tree, and there is a mushroom island just over there. It's a nice OG small one. Like, you know, it used to be mushroom islands were this size, but they got massive at some point in Bedrock's development and never really seemed to downsize. And this is a very reasonable size for one that is not that far of a boat from your mainland. Your mainland, which by the way should be noted, not only has access to a jungle, which is nice, and having free food at spawn is great, but also has access to some form of cave over here, also has a big plains, and then a savanna, and a mesa, and a desert. Yeah, you've got your standard, typical, but also very valuable biomes found right over here, including bamboo, by the way. You could start a farm for it, but then you also have access to caves and the ocean, and honestly, overall, that makes this a really nicely balanced spawn. I think for a spawn, I'm going to give this a solid 4 out of 5, maybe 4.5 out of 5. There are very few seeds which give you more, and would, you know, again, if you start your base right here, now you've got mushroom and jungle there, you've got forest and savanna and ocean over there, you've got mesa and desert there, you've got so many choices in every direction, which makes this really quite an astoundingly useful seed. It's very close to being 5 out of 5 territory, and it's honestly, it makes you question how many seeds can even get to that mark, because it's nuts how good this really is. The biggest downside to me is the fact that there's no easy village that I can see, but there is a desert well, there is a desert temple, if I'm not mistaken. Nope, this is actually a giant bowl, but there is a desert well, and I'm sure you could find a desert temple in that direction. There are shipwrecks, and maybe you could find yourself a village if you believe. If not, you have to make one from scratch, but that's fine too. Okay, I've looked over 1,000 blocks away from the spawn. There is no sign of any structure, which might not be a downside for your long-term world seekers, but for someone who just wants to get that little bit of a boost in your regular world, it's not a great mark. So I would say 4.5 spawn, because that doesn't measure utility. For utility, you're going to get yourself a solid 3.5 out of 5. I think for uniqueness, this is pretty cool, but I'm not going to say it's the most unique because they're all generic biomes. This is a 3 out of 5, and so now it's all going to come down to the Nether, which I'll be placing from around spawn because that's where people make their portals, and oh, wow, look at this. Not only do you get yourself this lovely crimson forest, but also a warp forest, and the two biomes are seemingly overlapping right here, so you get the nether sprouts found right over here, and you get the crimson roots spreading a little bit more. This is really, really cool, actually. You seem to have a little bit of nether waste here. I could be wrong about that. That could be weird crimson forest biome, but I think the fact that you have two of the best, in fact, everyone agrees these are the two very best. There's no off the best coming here, and they are both decently sized biomes. It's really, really nice. You have all those decent biomes in the overworld, and then you have all these decent biomes in the nether. They probably would go on longer than some people would like, but some people might prefer that you have so much of these biomes. Seriously, we're going hundreds of blocks, and wow! You get your bastion right in here too. So, obviously, the nether fortress is something that could determine, this, but honestly, that's not horrifically far away. With very little, there's very little that we can say that's negative about this nether, and I would have to say that if this isn't a 5 out of 5 nether, you would be very picky to pick one that is. You know, if I had to be picky, I would give it 4.75 out of 5. And just for the sake of rounding, we'll say it rounds up to a 5. This is a 5 out of 5 nether. This is a solid seed that I can wholeheartedly recommend to anyone, except for the fact that you'll sometimes spawn in caves. Man, nether portal linking sure is broken, huh? This next seed is Taiga Village, which is a really compelling offer. I think the Taiga Villages are some of the more fun ones to run across. Sometimes it's annoying they don't have food, but to me, I think the possibility of loot villages and free, honestly, free wood is one of the bigger appeals, is really nice. And as you can see, after a little bit of a run through the woods, thankfully in the forwards direction, so you shouldn't get lost, you will find yourself that Taiga Village. I would say it's a bit weird that the seed calls itself Taiga Village and then spawns you so far from one. There are 100% seeds that would spawn you closer, but, we'll leave that to the side for now and say, yeah, this is really decent. I love the idea of randomly loading up a Minecraft seed and getting this, so if you could just, boost those odds a little bit by using a seed template, sure, that sounds pretty wonderfully, actually. So, yeah, looking around, you can see, okay, we got some nice dudes here, we got a lot of interesting things, again, normal village stuff, I would say, and there is also a lot of taiga biome around this. I don't usually have the fondest opinions for huge taiga biomes, but this one does have some mega taiga mixed in, which interestingly you might have spawned in, which some people do quite like. Some people like the snowy taiga, and so having a variety of all the taiga biomes does make up for this a little bit. And also, as you can see right here, there is a pillager outpost, so you get more oh, and also there is a trail ruins. Okay, so you are talking a lot of different things that are different to what most people would normally experience. If you haven't gone through a trail ruins yet, you're kind of missing out ultimately. But also, by the way, look at this. Lava, but it's surrounded by snow. I love how weird things like this happen in Minecraft. This is the seed to go to for super weird things. By the way, can I just point out, this has been on my mind forever, but still to this day, even in betas, they haven't fixed the trail ruins. And so the trail ruins, if you want to find the rest of it, it's going to be way down here, a bunch of blocks underground. So just make sure if this is your first trail ruins, that you don't give up and think, oh, I guess this was the whole thing. No, Minecraft is just oddly broken and they can't fix it. I'd love to know how. Okay, let's get down to brass tacks. Let's give this seed a score. I think having a Taiga Village that's not even that near to spawn, you have to walk a little bit, and then also it just doesn't have one of the defining features of a Taiga Village, means that, and then also doesn't even have many useful things. There is a big ice sheet over here, but it goes in one direction, doesn't get you out of the biome, means that this spawn area is a like a 1 out of 5, maybe a 0.5 out of 5. As far as the uniqueness of this goes, yeah, it's a 1 out of 5. As far as the utility goes, a 0.5 out of 5. It has wood, and it has villagers, and that's kind of nice, I guess. But again, maybe I'm underrating having a bunch of Taiga villages here, but I think that's a 0.5 for me. And so the only question left is, what about the Nether? Come on, you need to bring back the seed, Nether. You need to convince me why this is a wonderful seed I should be recommending to everyone. And a warp forest spawn, that's pretty nice actually. It's a little scary. Oh, it's a warp forest spawn with a lovely crimson forest. And then also, you've got a Nether waste going off in this direction, which is super, super nice. Having the free biomes that someone might care about and might want, really, really great. And if we look for a fortress, it's only 300 blocks away. So honestly, yeah, the Nether does bring this seed back into being worthwhile. If you want, you could use this Nether to travel far away from the spawn and get an actually decent Minecraft seed. Although, by the time you did that, you wouldn't have a good Nether spawn, and so, you know, there's a lot to consider in this, but it is a very cool Nether, 4.5 out of 5. That brings us up to a whopping, oh yeah, it's not good, is it? Template number 9 of the day is Winding River, and I'm gonna try to go into this with an open mind, but who actually wants that and thinks they need a specific seed for it? You know, let's hope there's something good on this seed. Okay, so I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm a little worried. It's a generic forest spawn. I can see some water over there. Oh, I fell into a big, surprisingly deep lake, right? Oh, it's a cave. It's an underwater cave that you spawn next to. This might be someone's dream. I don't know who that person would be, and it's a very weird and very low quality dream, but you could have it, technically speaking. This is a really dumb thing. Anyway, so let's look at the seed. I've got to try and go into this with as much of a high praise mindset as I can. What do I see that's good here? This is a big, wide river, which might be good if you want to get away from things that you care about. Yeah, that's nice. That's real nice. And also, you can see it's got access to a cherry grove and a jungle nice and easily. So that's 2 more trees right there. And then also, there's a swamp over there. Oh, some people don't mind swamps. And yeah, there's this river. Did I mention the river? It's wide and it sort of goes forward. So if you wanted to spawn near a river, if you're that type of person to walk into a restaurant, order an onion, and then be happy with the results, this is the seed for you. So for spawn, it's a 0. This is so beyond average for spawn, but then instead of at least getting an ocean and being able to go to new places, it's just a big river. So it's an average spawn. Maybe the utility value, I'll admit it's not 0. Like, you get like a 1 out of 5 from this. You get a few types of trees. You get your cherry. 1.5 even. I'll give the cherry something nice. For the uniqueness of this, 0.5. I mean, like, it's not the most generic seed, but could any seed really be that? And then for the Nether, you better hope this is the best Nether I've ever seen. It needs to be a 20 out of 5 to balance out the rest of this. But instead, when we go to the Nether at spawn, you spawn in a cave
next to a soul sand valley. Oh my god. Why does this seed exist? There are only 22 seed templates, and they decided to waste one on this. How many people have, in all honesty, loaded up Winding River because, yes, I just want a river near spawn and I can't find any seeds like that? Okay, what was going to be a 0 out of 5 never is a 1 out of 5 because at least it has a bit of warp forest not that far from spawn, although accessing it is going to be real hard and not obvious to anyone that you have to like climb up through here, through that, whatever. It's a bad spawn, it's a bad never. It's the fact that it gets such a high overall score means that my review methodology is flawed. If it's getting so close to 2 out of 10, then really, what's the space below this? Is anything scoring less? Let's find out with the 10th seed of the day. This next seed is called Ocean Monument Ahead, and I've got to admit, it is delivering on that promise. That is an ocean monument. It is right ahead. You could chop down a tree and immediately go into the ocean and get yourself some of the lovely things from inside. Although, again, you'd immediately get mining fatigue, so the actual end value of this to most players is not necessarily the greatest, but I love it as a challenge that is ready to be obtained whenever you feel like it, because getting sponges would be real handy, especially if you have something that is water-based. So, honestly, I can see the appeal of having an ocean monument ahead, even though I would have to say objectively, most people don't get to the point where they really want to raid one, but if you want a challenge for you and your friends, then that's why a seed template would be great. And this seed template doesn't just give you generic forest by ocean, which is nice enough by itself, but also it gives you a savanna biome right next door too, so 2 biomes next to the ocean, one of which has, by the way, wow, yeah, look, that's a village, that is a ruined portal, and so overall, it's nice. I really quite like that. So the Savannah Village is fairly spread out and fairly flat, which you might like, you might not. It depends on your preference, but the ruined portal is just an absolute win because it's not just any ruined portal, it's a ruined portal only missing 5 pieces. So if you were to get lucky enough in this chest and find not just a gold chest plate, you'd be in some serious luck. And yeah, it looks like you can't quite go to the Nether just on this ruined portal alone, but you will be able to find right next to this 3rd structure by spawn a 4th one. This is an ocean ruin that's on land. This will be so handy for doing archaeology because if you want to find some sniffer eggs, you might just be able to find them right here easily. And then even better, there is another Savannah village. I think the benefits of 2 villages over 1 is honestly not that great because once you have some villages, do you need a second batch? But if you mess up your first batch, having a spare is actually quite nice. Come here, do your trading, get your stuff that you need to then go to the monument. And yeah, something I missed on the way out here is there seems to be a big ravine, maybe with decent access to big caves, which would save another huge gameplay mechanic some effort. So yeah, honestly, oh yeah, look at that. You get some iron, you get a lot of coal, and maybe some lush caves back here. Oh no, is this Savannah? Okay. It looks like it's a lush cave, but it's really just a savanna inside here. This is nice, actually. Okay, so just purely on the overworld, to my preferences, this is a good seed. This is a spawn that gets only a 3 out of 5 because it's partially ocean-like. Besides the monument, you have a lot of nothing that way. Who knows what you're going to find? It's a key important part of that, but it's, you know, as a whole, I'd say this is 3 out of 5, maybe 3.5 out of 5. As a uniqueness factor, this is definitely only, you know, again, I'd say 3, maybe 3.5. I'm going to give it just a 3 for now because it's nothing too amazingly unique. For utility, this gets a 4.5. It has several types of tree, several types of structure. It gives you a challenge and some fun to go about it. And so the only question left to ask is, how is the Nether? The Nether says he's doing pretty good. But more seriously, you can see that is some Crimson Forest, that is some Warp Forest, and although you spawn in a precarious place, I can't give it 5 out of 5 because when you spawn somewhere so precarious like this, just the risk of something bad happening is so high. That's a gas spawning that could blow this up and you'd immediately fall in the lava. This does give opportunity for the right player to make like an island in their Nether, so only you can get out if you have elytras. You know, you can do some really ridiculous things if you want to by deliberately cutting off this Nether portal from the rest of the world. However, I would say overall this is just a good Nether spawn because also you can see right here you've got your basalt delta for biome number 5 and then presumably you just need a soul sand valley for biome number 6. That's pretty decent. You're not far from a Nether portal, and yeah, having access to so much and being able to do so many cool things makes this a 4 out of 5 Nether. I wish it could be a 5. It's close, but there's just a couple of things that are not quite right, and so yeah, overall decent seed. It is upper mid-end as far as I am concerned.
This next seed spawns you into the middle of a desert, which is interesting because I was promised an abandoned village, and so maybe behind me? Oh, this is a certain type of abandoned village. So yeah, I do have to say, looking around at this one, it's a different Minecraft spawn, but I'm not entirely sure where the village is meant to be. Usually for a seed that says something's ahead, you should be able to see it immediately, and if it doesn't say it's ahead, I assume that I should be able to see it near immediately, but we'll keep looking around. Oh, it is just behind me. It's just very well hidden behind this particular hill here. Here is an abandoned village, which funnily enough, I didn't know this till just now, abandoned villages and deserts still spawn with camels, which means if you want to find camels or cats, you can find them here with precisely no other villages. So Minecraft Bedrock used to have these be way too common, but they fixed that. So now if you want an abandoned village, this probably is your easiest bet. It's very weird to see a bunch of red terracotta held up by cobwebs, but overall it's a decent enough way to get an easy access to an interesting village building set without any of the villagers. This, again, it's kind of a weird concept if you're familiar with the game, but if you're just getting into it, you might actually quite like this because it's an opportunity to cure a bunch of villagers and then they'll be very grateful to you literally forever. Look how friendly these guys look like they'd be. And so, yeah, do you want to have a abandoned village? Particularly an abandoned village which almost goes into a second biome, and then if you use the ocean, you can get plains villages as well. Indeed, this is a plains village, if I'm not mistaken, even though he's from the ocean biome. This might be the right seed for you. To be perfectly honest with you, I do have a slight love of just slightly quirky things. Like I love, you know, in real life, some people describe this as being like a Minecraft real estate agent. I love houses in the real world that have a tiny bit of character of what they used to be if they were something before a house. And so in a weird way, this is a fun way of having a Minecraft seed that doesn't just give you a village, it gives you a challenge. It does also give you a lot of fun stuff, like a desert temple and some lava. And I saw a desert well just over here previously, if I'm not mistaken, but then also some mesa biome for some easy gold. And honestly, it seems like this seed hands you quite a bit and says, yeah, go do some fun stuff with it. Indeed, wait, as well as 2 lava pits near spawn and a plains biome. Oh, this is incredible. Plains biomes aren't always this flat, but look at this one. This one is amazingly flat. And then even better, look over here. We have everything we need for a portal besides one piece of obsidian, which, guess what? You can easily get from somewhere nearby. There's a bunch of lava. Okay, so overall, I think this is, despite the village being less than utilitarian, I think this is a nice, you know, like 4 out of 5 for utility. You get everything you need besides functional villagers. So for spawn area, I'm going to give this a 3.5 out of 5. I'd be pretty happy to have this in quite a few ways. It's not perfect, so I can't give it too close to a 5, but I do have to say it's nice. As far as the, you know, like actual uniqueness of this goes, it's definitely straight up there at 5. I mean, having an abandoned village is fun enough by itself. Having an abandoned village which has a decent variety of biomes near it and honestly allows you to go exploring into the ocean or into the plains or into the mesa, I like that quite a bit, but even better would have to be the utility. I'm just kidding. Utility on the seed is very, very low. The desert temple might provide you with a bunch, and indeed, the ruined portal might give you the rest, but having an abandoned village is not everything you would need, so it'd be insulting if I gave it a 5. It feels weird to even give it a 4, but I think if you consider besides a village, this has everything you need, including, by the way, a free rideable mount at spawn, I think you're in for something pretty special here. Something special which will obviously be required if we're going to the Nether. Honestly, given that the Nether is a key part of the seed, we need to find out right now, how good is the Nether? Oh, dear God. Oh, man. Can you get much worse Nethers? Genuinely, is there any utility value in a seed that has lots of Nether access and then your Nether looks like this? Even the Nether waste part of it isn't particularly explorable. It just leads you, oh, actually, and then again, it leads you into something. What was going to be our first 0 out of 5 of the day has skirted by barely, and, you know, kind of unfairly. Okay, well, let's be for sure. Nope, okay, it's skirted by barely into a 0.5. You could technically do something with this, but you're gonna get wrecked by skeletons long before you try. It doesn't even have the best part of the Soul Sand Valley, which is meant to be fossils. There's one single fossil here, and it looks like just a bendy rod. It's terrible. This is not the seed for you. This next seed is called Desert Village, and oh my god, is this more than a desert village. It is a desert village that spawns you in front of a mesa spike, a weird mesa spike that seems to be right here. What the heck is this? Okay, you know, if you want a desert village at spawn, and you don't necessarily want the villagers to all be dead, you prefer them in trading condition, this seems like an easy win over the previous seed, because it's literally there at spawn. So yeah, this is, I was starting to think of the Taiga Village, that maybe Mojang just didn't believe in spawning you in a village, but clearly they do, and this is not just a spawn in a village, giving you access to a camel, by the way, the fastest camel, but also look at that, there's a desert well right over here. Wow, Minecraft's new most useful structure, featuring suspicious stand too, by the way. What a wonderful boost that is. And so, yeah, I do think there is a lot of mesa and then a lot of desert and then not a lot of anything else, but overall, that is probably what people looking for this seed actually want. I still am going to mark it down. This is a 4 out of 5 spawn. It might seem like I'm being too picky to be 5 out of 5, but I'm the Simon Cowell of Minecraft seed reviewing, okay? You know, let's be real with ourselves. It would be a 5 out of 5 if it also gave you everything else, but this is just a lot of desert, and most people don't want desert that goes endlessly with random water breaks in between, so it's gonna be a 4 out of 5 for the actual spawn right there. I think for the uniqueness of it, okay, look at this. You're not finding this anywhere else. Mesa spikes going through a village, kind of separating it. That is crazy wild. We might have to give that a 5 out of 5. This is very, very, very crazy. The only thing crazier would be if it spawned in a deep dark. Can you imagine that? But yeah, no, I think this is a 5 out of 5 for uniqueness as far as the spawn goes. And for utility, it's gonna be, what, like a 2 out of 5. This looked like it was going to be something incredible when I first saw it, but when you look down and you see that actually, no, it's just a big access cave that doesn't really go anywhere. Okay, never mind, wait, okay, so then you follow this, and maybe it goes somewhere down to the diamond layers, perhaps? Okay, so there is some utility from this cave. It's not a perfect one, but what was going to be a 2 out of 5, I think we can jump right up to a 3.5 out of 5. Actually a really good seed, but let's see how well that holds up. Whoa, and even, oh, up to a 4 now. You have an amethyst geode exposed just under your spawn. What an incredible little find. That means that anytime anyone joins your world, they're going to be leading those crystals to grow. What an incredible thing, but obviously it doesn't matter if the nether sucks. Okay, I'm gonna level with you. My first instinct was to say that the nether was, in fact, not a good one. And I don't think it's great, but it is good, because look at this. It's a nether fortress chilling right over here. So yeah, immediate access to a nether fortress, easy, by the way, this is a huge one that covers a lot of area, is a really big plus in my opinion, because not only is this a nether fortress, so you can use it as like, okay, a way to get the wither skulls and all the stuff that you want for a basic game, but also you can piggyback onto this, deliberately build your portal somewhere over here, and then use this as part of your transportation method around the world. The game pre-builds you a bridge. You can just put some glass on here and make sure that you stop mobs from spawning, of course, but once you've done that, you've got something amazing and a real character feature for you. You know, I feel like this is a great way to boost the value of your world by tying into something that's already there. I think this is something a lot of people in Minecraft realize, that you can build something from scratch, but anyone can do that. Working with what the game gives you is kind of a really fun way to build stuff. And the fact is, there is well over 200 blocks of nether fortress right here, which is absolutely crazy if you ask me. It is something that you should be taking full advantage of if you try out the seed, but I would say even if you're not, it's still a great nether just for having this here. 4 out of 5? Yeah, I'm gonna give it that. This is one of the best seeds so far, clearly. Okay, the next seed is called Coastal Village, and my level of excitement couldn't be lower. This doesn't sound like it could be a good seed, but I try to experience things with an open mind. If you assume something's gonna be bad before you see it, you'll usually like it much less. That's a useful thing you learn in life that, you know, even for the most, for the things you might be most pessimistic about, try to open your mind up a little bit. And indeed, this one's pretty cool because it doesn't just give you a village near spawn, it gives you 2 villages near spawn. This shouldn't be called Coastal Village, it should be called Coastal Villages. I really do enjoy this one right here in particular. Look at it. It's a lovely island with some forests on here and some easy access onto the ocean, whereas on the other side, you can see we've got a second village, and they're both plains, so admittedly, like, there's not as much value in having two of the same type of village, but again, if you screw up your first village, this seed is willing to help you out. Also, this village, which is much closer to spawn, has 2 blacksmith chests as well, so the Taiga Village doesn't have any, but this one gives you 2 pieces of iron armor and iron sword, some free iron on top of that, and then you get a second blacksmith just over here, and what's behind there? 5 obsidian, more iron, some more boots, and then combine that with the lava you have here, and you're basically ready to go to the Nether. What an insane seed. Also, yeah, we got some chickens as well. This is really nice. I do have to say, as far as biomes beyond that go, you also, wow, we didn't even need any of that obsidian because we've got lava here, and then even beyond that, for people who don't want to do the water bucket lava thing, there is also a ruined portal here that all you have to do is remove a few blocks. So just place some blocks, remove these 2, and then wow, you're 1 obsidian away from a portal, so it doesn't matter how many you get, you can go right to the Nether on this seed. Oh, it doesn't matter how many's in the chest anyway, because there we go, that is the portal complete, and given that therefore the portal's right there, we need to go through to the Nether right now, or rather we need to see what the scores are for the overworld. I think that overall, this is a decent overworld. It's got a little bit of a problem with the endless coastline thing, but that does lead somewhere eventually. Looks like some boring islands, but still, it's got something going over there. You've got some taiga, you've got some plains, you've got a lot of plains, and so for variety of this spawn, not a huge amount. The spawn area is going to have to be like, just a 3 out of 5. For the uniqueness of this, I think having 2 villages close by does sound pretty good, but on the end roll of things, like, is it going to matter that much once you've really settled down? I'm not going to say so, so this is going to be a 2 out of 5 for uniqueness. For utility, though, 5 out of 5? There is no seed that could be more useful for someone starting up a world unless the only thing you wanted was deliberately to play Minecraft slower. And sometimes, it's worth, like, taking the slow route on things, but this seed existing means it is not one of those times. Is the Nether going to be good, or is it going to be bad? It is, ooh, yeah. I mean, it's got a Crimson Forest right there. It's a bit more ideal to spot. You could make this work. You could definitely turn this into something good. I think this is a solid 3 out of 5 Nether. I have regrets about saying that, because who knows how far you're going for a fortress? Oh, no, I know how far you're going to a fortress. It's right over there. It's a 4 out of 5 Nether, close by Nether Fortress, close by Crimson Forest. The Nether Fortress goes inwards a bit, which is fine. And ultimately, yeah, this is the seed I'm down for. And the inside part of the Nether Fortress is outside, which makes it even easier to explore. And then there's a ruined portal cutting through it. Okay, I'm gonna have to add 1 to the uniqueness score just for this right here. Like, what the heck's happened here? And so yeah, this is, and also you get, the Nether is a solid 4.5 out of 5. This is a pretty good seed. It's lacking in some parts, but I think this is the type of seed where if you know you want it, you should just give it a shot. It has, with very little effort, you could link the Crimson Forest to the Warp Forest and actually travel a lot of your overworld, and so you could do some really nice things both in the Nether and in the overworld. Not often you get to be able to say that. So the next seed is called Mesa Plateau, and I have to admit, I have a soft spot in my heart for the Mesa biome. I think everyone does who was playing Minecraft before it came out, because terrain used to look like this, and oh wait, it didn't used to look like that, but that's what the biomes used to look like, and then they came out with one that looked like this, and just the color of it immediately makes you want to go to it. So I do have to say it's a little bit weird, more than a little bit weird, that you can see immediately that there is a Mesa biome, but it's behind you, but I'll forgive that for now, because you do also spawn on a stony beach, which does have clearly the Mesa biome characteristics of more gold. So, yeah, let's see. Is the nostalgia too much? Do I just love this biome because of how it used to be? Or is it actually pretty decent? I think that entirely comes down to what you want from a world like this. You will need to bring your own wood, because there are some trees in the Mesa biome, but they're few and far between. And you'll also need to kind of come into this with an expectation of what you're really doing here. If you want to live in a Mesa biome, you need to bring dirt. You need to bring at least wood, because although you can find sticks from their dead bushes, you can't find many planks, and you'll also need to have a good vibe for what you really want from it. Is that worthwhile? Well, the overwhelming majority of people being excited by Mesa biomes, to me, does seem to imply that it might be.
Also, it's interesting it's called the Mesa Plateau, right? It just hit me right now. Either it's called the Badlands Plateau and my brain genuinely changes it into Mesa, or that's how it really is. But yeah, I think the older you get, the more stubborn you get about some things, about being like, nope, it used to be called this way, and that was perfectly fine, because you realize how names really aren't meant to be these end-all be-all characteristics, and actually are just an easy way to refer to something. So if you have a good name for something, why change it? This is a great mesa biome. It's very big, it's very unlivable, but that is what a lot of people might want. If you do want livability, fortunately, you don't just spawn near the Mesa Plateau. You do have a lovely forest, and then jungle, and then another forest, and so that's nice. You have a ruined portal here, which is great for never access, and then you also have, just over the valley here, more savanna. So it's not that you have no spawn variety. I think, you know, as much as this hurts to say, this isn't a 5 out of 5 spawn. Is it a 4 out of 5 spawn? I don't even think that's true. I think if I was being real about what I've seen so far, it's nice. It's got the jungle, which is what some people are there for. You've got the savanna. You've got, like, your biomes to do stuff, but it's not exceptional. So I think a 2.5 out of 5 is entirely in order here. I think for the uniqueness of this spawn, yeah, that's something a little bit higher. I would, you know, you want it to be a 5 because mesa biomes are rare, but actually you can spawn in a mesa biome, and there are bigger, better, more interesting mesa biomes in every way. So this is a free because you get a nice mix, but honestly, even the last seed gave you the mesa biome and more. What about utility? I mean, it does have this portal and it does have trees, so it's not a 0 out of 5, but I mean, if we're being totally honest, this is a utilitarian seed for someone. It really works in the mid game when you're trying to go to the Nether and get some gold. Although, before we go, to quickly give you what you expect, I think this is a 1 out of 5 for utility. There are just much better seeds out there if that is your main goal, but what about the Nether? I think the Nether has to be good on a seed like this, and I apparently think wrong because it is a lot of Nether waste. Okay, it's saved by the fact that you have a Nether fortress right here. That's really, really handy. It's more often than not, just having it nearby means your Nether is going to be a more chilled, less stressed experience. The fact that you have a basalt delta on one side and a warp forest on the other means that overall, yeah, this Nether is solid, actually. This is a 3.5 out of 5 Nether. Does that make this seed good overall? No, it makes it fine overall. This next seed is fairly simple, just claiming to have some sunflowers, which it totally does deliver on. Honestly, sometimes you do want simplicity in the world, and saying, I want to spawn near the sunflowers, and then getting sunflowers is absolutely great. The wonderful thing about sunflowers is they always face to the east, if I'm not mistaken. Man, I need to know which way the sun rises and sets. It's one of those facts that you learn so often in life, but it never sticks. It rises in the east, sets in the west. Okay, with that information in mind, you can take these sunflowers to some surprising places. By the way, why does the sunflower look like you just hold the top of it? Where does the rest of the plant go when you pick it up? Anyway, so this seed is really interesting because since they've added it, it now has a cherry grove biome right here. One of these smallest cherry grove biomes, which is a really, really nice combination. This is just a cutesy biome for getting pink petals and sunflowers and having a wonderful garden right from the get-go. It also has a nice plains here, so it's relatively flat. Look at this. I mean, you could build a house right here by the spawn, by the ocean, by the beach. This is some valuable real estate, I have to say. And so, yeah, what do I think about this as a spawn? It's definitely for a particular type of player because, yeah, overall, you have to be objective and say, what about when you want other biomes? Well, you go this way a bunch and you find plains, and then you find a cherry grove, and then you find mountains eventually. Or you can go this way and you can find ocean, and then ocean, and or you can go this way and you can find forest. You don't have a lot of variety. But for the type of person who wants to spawn specifically in some flowers, oh my god, yeah, this is a flower forest too, not a regular forest. So you have access to every type of flower, which is a really compelling ask, right? If your whole goal is, oh, and then even you eventually do get some taiga, so this is a 3 out of 5 spawn. I can't fault it too much. It doesn't have everything you need, but it's nice for what it does have. It's very pretty. Yeah, for prettiness even, I'll give it a 4 out of 5. For uniqueness, I'm going to give it also a 4 out of 5, I think. This is really cool to have every single unique pretty biome by itself, and it's entirely unintentional because this seed was picked before the Cherry Grove came out. Before that, it would definitely be lower down on the list, but now
it's pretty decent. But for utility, giving this a 2 out of 5 feels too generous because you're putting a lot of utility value on what is effectively, like a flower. And so, 1.5 out of 5 for utility, this just isn't very much. But maybe this could be saved in the Nether. Oh, spawn in a Crimson Forest, surrounded by Crimson Forest. I do have to say, sometimes there's an appeal to this because no ghast will spawn. Sometimes it's a nightmare to get out of a biome that is filled with things that literally try to eat you. And so what do I think about this one? Given that the easy way out is going to be through a soul sand valley, and given that our nearest, Nether fortress is 500 blocks away, I don't think we can, in good conscience, rank this well. I think this is a 2 out of 5 Nether. Sure, it's got your Crimson Forest at the spawn, but it has nothing else for you, and you're also on a little island in the middle of this all, so get ready to build a lot, and maybe bring some sunflowers with you. By the way, did you know you can place these in the Nether, and they will still face east? So, useful fact that will come in precisely 0 times, but it's nice to know anyway. It's worth going through from some perspective and saying we've now gone through 15 different seeds. This is one of the biggest seed Sundays ever. It's even bigger than the last time we did this, but yet that still means there are 8 more to go. And I am kind of excited for the idea of Outpost Ahead. I've heard this is massively improved since the last time. Spooky Mansion we already know is exciting, and Taiga Bay feels like an outlier. But yeah, let's go into it. Right after we mentioned that, yeah, it was Mesa Plateau. I didn't go crazy. So Minecraft itself calls it a mesa only in the seed template menu. But yeah, the Outpost Ahead seed, which is indeed a nice short one, let's see what happens when we load it up. So I mean, first things first, Outpost Ahead is clearly a lie, right? On the old seed, it was 500 blocks journey to get to an outpost. On this one, it looks like you go over a forest, through a snowy taiga, into an entirely different biome, past a village, and it's gotta be not ahead in that way, right? It's gotta be to the east, maybe, or to the behind you, maybe? To the west? Where? Ah, Outpost is not ahead, Outpost is behind. It's funny, because if I recall correctly, that's how it used to be as well. So, calling this the closest outpost seed is really confusing because multiple times in this video even, I've shown seeds with pillager outposts which are just about the same distance, and they had other things as well. So, I mean, maybe this seed will make up for it in other ways, but right now, it looks like a giant sea of iceberg, which, to be fair, as an alternative to ocean, I like icebergs because you can get through them very quickly. However, as an alternative to really good biomes, probably not so much. It does have, actually, see, interestingly enough, also it has a monument ahead too, not that far away, not that much further than the monument ahead seed, and so weirdly enough, this is a good seed for monument and outpost. If you want to challenge yourself, this is the right seed for you. This is a kind of pro level seed. It has stuff that can really be taken advantage of, but for most players will just kind of suck, like having snowy biomes and mountains with snowier snow in. These things aren't good for most players, but they might be good for you. And even more amusingly, am I right that this village is actually a abandoned one, or does it just look like that because of the snow? It might just be the snow, and so yeah, this is actually a very nice little village you have access to that has full-on one of the rarest types of villager. It's very infrequent you see these guys, and so I would say the utility of this seed is higher than it might seem at first. But also, whoa, look at that over there. Do you see? There's a shipwreck in that iceberg. I mean, I'll be honest, sometimes I have a little bit too much pirate juice to drink, and then I have really bad aim, but usually my decisions don't doom my entire crew and ship filled with loot, by the way, which you can still grab. So, and you get some nice trims from it. Yeah, this is, I would say, an advanced level Minecraft seed that's really good for a particular type of player that knows what they want. That means that the spawn is going to be a 1 out of 5 still, a 0.5 out of 5 still, because it's really not useful for most players. But as far as the, like the uniqueness goes, yeah, I feel fine giving this a 4.9 out of 5. The entire system falls apart when I choose a non-round number, but 4.9 for uniqueness. It could be way more unique by having more biomes, but as far as will you get a unique survival experience, yes you will. For utility, I'm also going to give this a nice 4 out of 5 because this is actually a really utilitarian seed for the right person, and if that right person is you, you're in for something. However, what happens when you go to the Nether? I mean, what I'm expecting is a high utility but really terrible feeling Nether, and I mean, I'm getting a really terrible feeling Nether without any of the utility to back it up, I think. This is a lot of soul sand, A lot of it. Let's see if maybe there's a fortress. 246 blocks away isn't the worst journey we've seen so far, but 246 blocks across the Soul Sand Valley might just be, yeah, this is such a huge Soul Sand Valley too, and when you leave it, all you get is never waste. It's not like you have a huge reward for it. This is a rough seed for a rough type of person. Some people do say Seed Sunday, like, why would you want to take away the challenge of a seed? And if you want a purely challenging seed, this one might be for you. If you look at Minecraft and you think it's too easy all the time, maybe this is a good opportunity for you to add some challenge to yourself. But I wouldn't in good conscience call this anything but a 0 out of 5 never. There's just very little that you have going on for yourself. And so this is a seed that is just for the right person and precisely no one else. Also, maybe more importantly, there isn't an outpost ahead, and it's not even that close. There's a monument closer than the outpost, and so, yeah, I wouldn't give this a great rating, but I would say this is like my special pick of the day. If there's one seed you were going to pay attention to in this video, this is a good one because it's interesting as heck. It's the wild card choice, and you know, that's I'll give it like a red star for that. How do we feel about that? I hope the stars on the rest of them weren't red. This gets a red star to add to the other ones. Does that make it good? I don't know. I'm not making up a decent system. But what I am doing is checking out the next seed. So this seed is called Spooky Mansion, and unlike the seeds which claim to have something ahead, this seed was submitted by Crack Magnet as kind of a joke to see how far the Minecraft team would go in accepting seeds that fit their criteria, but by having a woodland mansion, not just at spawn, but literally underneath it, this one was kind of, you know, pushing the limit in a really fun way, because yes, you spawn 0 blocks from a woodland mansion, you spawn directly above an entire place where you can find, by the way, not just Vindicators and Emeralds and Iron Axes, but also, if you want, you can find Totems of Undying seconds after spawning. You can go straight into death or straight into undeath. The choice is yours. And yeah, this means you have access to all the loot this place has to offer, but also some insane terrain nearby. What the heck is happening with this? This doesn't look like any terrain that I'm used to. Yeah, look at that. There is an insane thing happening over there. But more importantly, yeah, this is a great seed for having a woodland mansion at spawn. I think one of the problems with woodland mansion spawns is you spawn in these big roof forests, but I think it's totally worth it for a giant structure, and it also means that rather than having to seek one of these things out and go thousands of blocks, the rarest structure in the game is already under control. I think for a lot of people that makes this seed not just a, you know, a 3 out of 5, but instead a solid 4 out of 5, just the only downside being not as many great biomes as you might expect, although a cherry grove over there certainly is nice. And yeah, the next thing I'd say is, as far as uniqueness goes, it's a 5. Nowhere else will you spawn on top of Woodland Mansion. That is such a rare and unique characteristic that really shouldn't be possible, but yet it is over here. For utility, I think you also get a nice 5. Not only do you get wood the second you spawn, you can get stone seconds after spawning, you can get multiple types of wood and wool and Totems of Undying. As far as a good spawn goes for getting stuff nice and fast, hitting the ground running, this is a 5. There is no question, and so the only question left is the Nether. Oh my god! You spawn inside of a nether fortress. That is wild! Not only is a woodland mansion already kind of crazy, I think, frankly, a woodland mansion at spawn was wild enough, but spawn into a nether fortress and the closed part of it, which means it's actually really useful as well. I'm sorry, there's gotta be something really tragic for me to think this isn't a 5 out of 5 nether. Yep, you come out and it's Crimson Forest too. What better can you do, unless you don't want the Nether Fortress in your Nether, which, you know, some people might be opposed to that for reasons. I will say my Let's Play world is my main Nether route goes through Nether Fortress. It does mean you fight more blazes, more wither skeletons, but the upside is so great that I can't not give that a 5 out of 5. This is the best seed of the day. It is so close to being perfect, and my god, this is crazy to have as a default seed, right? Can we agree on that? In conclusion, I think we have Minecraft's most OP starter seed, but I would be remiss if I didn't check them all. I do think that's an important thing, and so that's precisely what we'll be doing. This is the most uninspiring seed I've ever seen. It's called Taiga Bay. Why would they increase the number of seeds to add this? I'm gonna go in as a skeptic, and I'm hoping they change my mind.
So you spawn into a taiga biome, which looks like it might just be a mega taiga biome, which is kind of fun if you ask me. And even more interestingly, you have turtles right here, maybe by just chance of my seed. But then also just round it, you have this, a beautiful bay covered in frozen ice and a little bit of iceberg. I feel like you could chop this down easily and just have a lovely open bay, which floats into the sky a little bit. Okay, you know what? I think I was being cynical about this seed. If you wanted a taiga seed with frozen taiga and mega taiga mixed in, the one I said earlier definitely isn't the one for you. This is objectively better than the frozen Taiga Village. Maybe besides the fact that you don't have the village. Oh, you do. You have a regular Taiga Village just over here, and then hopefully somewhere around here you'd expect to find the frozen counterpart. I think if you do, I would be a lot less cynical about this seed. I think the fact that you can get around it all quite easily with these big lakes, and the fact that you got, yeah, honestly, it's very monobiome, which is a downside for many, but maybe not for someone who wants a Taiga Bay. And, okay, no, this is too monobiome already. We've gone hundreds of blocks in a straight direction, and there's still no sign of anything else, not even the second type of village we're looking for. So, yeah, if you just want a village, you don't care about the type of villager, and also, if you like having huge swaths of taiga, you think that's a cool thing for a biome, or you just like the wood and you really intend to chop down an insane amount of it, maybe this is actually a recommendable seed. I think it's really cool to have this river with a frozen jag down the middle, so you can kind of make a difficult course around it deliberately, or not, I don't know for sure. But would I say this seed is great? That's a bit more of a push. So, how is the spawn area? The spawn area is fine. It's just fine, right? It's a 2 out of 5. How is the uniqueness of this seed? Okay, I was gonna give it a 1, but I think it's a 3. How is the utility of this seed? It does have a village and a ruined portal and a lot of ice, and you got a little bit of regular forest there to boost you up a little bit. And also you can see there's a lush cave below the ground from this tree. So I think it would be silly to give this much less than a 2. I think we could say this is a 3, maybe a 3-5 for utility. So now the only question remaining is, how is the nether? Okay, so it's a basalt delta, which means gas spawn, magma cubes spawn, no good things happen, and indeed, you won't find a bastion nearby here. But you do get a warp forest nearby, so it's not a 0 out of 5, it's just a 1.5 out of 5. It's got a decent biome right there, easy access to ender pearls, but if you wanted easy access to the fortress, you wouldn't necessarily get that. So, yeah, this is fine. Actually, given that this is a never waste just up here, it's a kind of weird looking one, we could probably upgrade this to a 2 out of 5 never, but I think that could be overly generous. So overall, the seed is not good. So the next seed is called Survival Island, which is a bold claim because usually I feel like Survival Island was the very first of the popular seed challenges that started years ago, but usually it was like one tree and then some sugarcane and maybe like a single bucket or something like that. That would be the idea to start up your island, but this is so many trees that it would take you all day just to chop them all down, and so I guess the point of Survival Island is not necessarily the how well can you survive by working with your resources, but instead this is much more of a, you have one set of stuff, and if you want to go get to another island, it's going to take you a long boat ride, so build a bridge or something. But yeah, if you want to spawn surrounded by ocean, this is a nice seed. If you want to have a survival island with real pig spawning and other animal spawning, because it's not an ocean biome, it's a real biome, this is pretty good. Is it survival island as most people know it? No, but is that okay? Honestly, kind of depends on what you want, but I don't think it's bad. I also don't think it's bad that you can find a birch forest and a roof forest just over here, and overall, yeah, it's not the worst spawn unless you wanted... See, again, if you want to spawn a survival island, this is great. This is a 4 out of 5 spawn. If you want just a interesting spawn by itself, I think this is just going to be a 2 out of 5. So I'll agree to meet those in the middle and say this is a 3 out of 5 interesting spawn. How unique is it? Yeah, actually, pretty unique. I think 4 out of 5, it is very unique for a spawn to have all of this around you. It is nice to have a single piece of sugarcane. It's nice to have all of the trees, and, the idea that you can go out, but you don't have to, is very, very fun. This is going to provide a lot of fun for someone, but it's not going to provide a lot of utility for them. This is what, like a 1 out of 5 on utility? It has trees, and it has sugarcane, and it has food. work out the rest yourself. So yeah, I think the only question left now is the Nether a survival island too? Oh no, I think we've been lied to. Oh no, this isn't an island at all. This is a Crimson Forest, which is nice. I'll give it that, but and it's a lot of trees here too. Is this what you want from a biome and the Nether? Not necessarily, but it's not too tragic either. So surprisingly, I think this is going to be like a 3 out of 5 Nether. It's decent enough actually to give a shot. I'm not actually coming down against this, but it's not the greatest seed ever, is it? This next seed is called Stronghold Below, but honestly, my first sight is drawn to the village which you spawn in. Obviously, if there's a stronghold below, you probably have to have a village, but that means it probably is going to be directly below, unlike the old seed, and overall, it's a nice spot. Oh, look at that. It's not just Stronghold Below, it's Mushroom Biome Ahead. It's just as close to a mushroom biome as the old seed was, except this one's even closer, because all you need is a boat, which is fairly easy to craft. You just need some wood, which fortunately the village will have for you in Taiga variety, or spruce variety rather, and so then you can go straight over to the mushroom biome, which is amazing. Mushroom ahead, as well as a village at spawn, as well as a stronghold below. Based on how low the seed numbering on this was, I'm guessing this is a crack magnet find, but still, look at this. This is a seed and a half, because it also then has a, like a lovely plains just over here, and then a plains village too, as well as this lovely meadows, meaning that you can build something nice on the hill, or something on the flat, or you can build it in the middle of that, but know that you're never too far away from it. I love this. Okay, let's test the claim though. Is there a stronghold below? So I spawned just over here next to this house. Let's see if digging straight down from it would result in a stronghold. Oh, yes, it would. Okay, give some serious points for that. This is a decent enough spawn. Yeah, it's just fine, right? You know, it's gonna have to be a 1 out of 5 for spawn. It's a 2 out of 5 for uniqueness, and it's a, 1 out of 5 for utility. What value do you get from this? Except I'm joking, of course. This is an incredible spawn area. What is this? Like a 4 out of 5 spawn, I might say. Maybe 4.5 of those being less critical, but I'll say 4 out of 5. There is some small room for improvement. You know, why is there only 1 eye in this portal? But no, yeah, this is a 4 out of 5 spawn. Uniqueness, I think this is really great. Having a village at spawn and a mushroom biome, that is incredible. That's a 4.5 for sure. Utility, I actually think that having a stronghold below your feet is great, but most people don't take full advantage until a little bit later in the game. And so, the stronghold is the most undervalued structure, but undervalued it is in most people's brains. We could fix that, but unfortunately not right now at least. And so, yeah, I'm gonna have to give that like a 3 out of 5 for utility, maybe a 3.5 if I'm being nice, because there's also a zombie spawner right here below your feet, a skeleton one too, which is a really, really good type. And so, yeah, this is a nutty spawn. Anyway, let's go to the Nether, and let's see if the seed continues there. A warp forest, it's nice. No one hates a warp forest, right? Having it everywhere, maybe not the best. I mean, oh, okay, and then we got a crimson forest just over here. And so now the question is, what about our distance to a fortress? Oh, a little far. So, yeah, what could have been a 5 out of 5 Nether for the 2 biomes you spawn into is more of a, a 4 out of 5 Nether. Still a very good seed. Not the best one, but very, very close, I have to say. This next seed is called Forest Glade, and I'll be honest with you, Forest Glade is one of those words that everyone expects you to know, but I genuinely had no clue about, so I had to Google it, and apparently it's the open area around some trees. I really like these, but, I've been trying to get into outdoorsiness, like, it's not something that never came from my parents, but as an adult, I've been trying to get into it, and so it's something I really appreciate when you're on, like, a hike or you're going through the woods, and so, I sound like I would really appreciate it in Minecraft if this seed were to deliver it. But right now, you spawn on top of trees with no real way to get under them, and certainly no easy to see glade that I can notice. You do have access immediately to a jungle and the bamboo, which is nice. So you got 3 types of tree plus your birch for 4 types of tree, plus your regular forest has got to be around here somewhere for it to be a forest glade, right? They wouldn't call it a forest glade and not have forests mixed in, surely. Would they? Maybe they would, actually. Okay, there we go. So you got 5 types of trees right at spawn. That's really nice. But you don't get a glade, which is, in my opinion, my offensively incorrect opinion, I think words should mean things. And I guess this is the glade.
Is this, if someone said they were taking you to a forest glade and they took you to the beach, would you find that accurate? I don't know if I would. This is the seed for the type of person who says, yeah, I want lots of types of trees, but I don't want to have other interesting things too, it seems. There is, for what it's worth, all the way over there, some interesting terrain, and all the way over here, there is a ruined portal in the water. These always look super cool in my opinion, and then also just behind that, we have a village, which is nice, I would have to say. So yeah, what do I think of this overall? It's decent for what it is, but what it is could be so much better. If you wanted the only thing this seed has to offer, there is a better alternative for you. Oh, actually, you know, okay, this is the forest edge biome, where it's just part of the jungle now. Sorry, jungle edge. The interesting thing about this is very easy to chop down, and then you have this beautiful green grass. So actually, I was going to trash this seed, but it might be like a 1 out of 5 for spawn, a 1 out of 5 for uniqueness, but actually I'm gonna give it a solid, this is crazy, but 3.5 out of 5 for utility, because you get a village and a ruined portal. It's a little bit of a journey, but then you also get this amazingly green area, which so many people love under their builds. High saturation is what we all love, which is why, I know, look at this cape. The only reason this cape has any value or meaning, or makes people mad even in some cases, is because it's so colorful. Imagine this but black and white. No one cares about it. And so yeah, there's a lesson here about colorfulness, I think. But the only lesson I need to care about is what does the Nether look like? And yeah, we'll go from the portal over here because there's no lava anywhere else near spawn. And so this is the most likely place you'll go to the Nether. What's it gonna be like? Oh, what? Oh, okay. I was shocked beyond belief. It looked like I went to the Nether and then came back into one of these, but seemingly not. Also, how do geodes exist when they're covered on all sides? How are you ever meant to find this naturally? But yeah, let's go through the portal and hope that it doesn't take me straight back to the overworld like it just did. Oh, into a Nether fortress. Okay, so honestly, that's pretty cool. Admittedly, you do have to travel 40 blocks if you made this at spawn, rather, although even then, you are surrounded by Nether fortress no matter where you go on this seed, and the rest is Crimson Forest, so good biome, good structure combination right at spawn. Okay, yeah, I don't think there's much fault I could give this. I mean, could we be picky and say where's the nearest bastion? Sure. Could we be picky and say that there's no warp forest? So, you know, getting those IF enders will take a little bit more work. Yeah, but I don't think that brings us down much below a 4.5. So 4.5 out of 5 for the Nether brings the score up quite substantially overall, huh? Yeah, that's something. But there are just 2 seeds remaining now. And let's hope they don't teach me more about the real world, because I play Minecraft to escape the real world, damn it. This next seed is called Epic Jungle, and I had to look up what a jungle was, but I'm just kidding. This is not an epic jungle spawn, but it is a really nice view from a spawn. If this was a random seed, I'd be like, oh, okay, this is forest and ocean, but at least it's more introspective. At least the stony beach gives you ores, which is always a nice little thing. You get your copper, you get your coal, and honestly, if you don't get iron, I wouldn't be that fussed about it, but still, having easy access. Oh, there we go. You get your stone, you get your iron, you get your trees, but then more importantly, there is an epic jungle. I don't know what would make it so epic, given you have to walk some distance for it, but I'm down for the concept, I guess. Yeah, on the human scale, walking around it, I don't feel like it is a particularly epic jungle, and given that there's a bamboo forest spawn, and indeed there's other jungle spawns on this list, I don't think it's too compelling from the survival perspective. I switched into creative solely so I could look at it and see how epic this jungle truly is. Okay, you know what? Yeah, from a survival perspective, you can't tell. From a creative perspective, you can see not only is this so big, you've got your water in the middle, and then it still keeps going on each side. You have a jungle temple, you have a huge ruined portal here, and you have some stuff that I would say makes for a good spawn. I mean, you can go straight to the Nether. You've got lots of jungle, so if you ever did clear it down, it'd be nice. If you don't clear it down, it's still an interesting part of the world. But it's not the biggest jungle. I feel like they could say large jungle, and I'd say, yeah, that's accurate. Epic jungle? No, there are jungles that go for well over 1,000 blocks. This is not one of them. This doesn't go to the edge of my render distance, which is what you presumably want from an epic jungle sea. Oh, actually, no. Okay, I might have been too quick to judge. I am willing to accept when I've been a little bit too critical. This can be epic across one dimension. Okay, going this way, you get the jungle edge, then back into more jungle. you have a huge stretch in one direction, and so if you did have a slightly lower render distance, I run about 30 chunks when I record these videos, you would have something nice. You also then have a big cave down here, but given the distance from spawn, it's nothing to write home about. And so, yeah, this is a very large jungle biome seed. Is that good for me? I mean, is that good for an average person? Sure. I'll say for a lot of people like jungles, so I'll give this a 3 out of 5. Is the uniqueness of this very high? Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it should be jungle temples and huge amounts of trees that spawn, but really it's only a 2 out of 5 for uniqueness. For utility, it's gonna have to jump down to like a 1.5 out of 5. The Ruin Portal and the Jungle Temples do bring that up, but still, it's not the most utilitarian seed. And finally, how about the Nether? Let's go back to the tree where it all began, and let's find out. Oh, you spawn by a fortress on this one too. I mean, you also spawn in a Salt Sand Valley, but like it's a fortress right down there. I mean, it's not really that easy to get down to it, but still, it's a fortress. You have to deal with a lot of skeletons here, so it's a fortress on hard mode, and so this might be the lowest ranked fortress spawn Nether I can give, because everything about it is terrible, besides that it is a fortress. So, what is the lowest score I can give that? Like a 2.5? That might be too unfair. I'll give it a 3 and say, yeah, this seed is technically something, but we have one last seed that does actually sound more compelling than Forest Glade. Let's go find out what it is. So I have been looking at seeds all day today, but I'm still excited for the Cherry Grove. One of the beautiful things about Minecraft, one of the ways in which it is more captivating than anything else out there, is that it really holds your attention and keeps you excited for things that you might feel like are samey after a while. And the Cherry Grove has been out for a while. It's been months at this point. I think 3 months in a few days. But despite that, it is still incredible to see one of these. And yeah, I do think that this is the newest biome, and so this must have been added, by the way, as a default seed very recently, so very exciting in that sense. But this is a Cherry Grove, which is next to a mountain, so Cherry Grove, Snowy Peaks, and then what's on the other side? More Cherry Grove, and then more Snowy Peaks, and then more Cherry Grove, which is real wonderful, huh? I like this seed quite a bit. This seed actually looks really familiar to me. It looks like one that I've played before, but maybe I'm going crazy on that. And it is a really nice seed for finding cherry, not just in the quantity of a few trees like we've seen before, but instead a large enough number that you'll never really functionally run out. This means you could build your big, beautiful pink house, and for someone who just wants to experience the Cherry Grove tree and is finding it frustrating, it's nice that this is a default seed. How nice is it for anyone else? Well, having it be somewhat near spawn, pretty decent. I think that's got to be like a 3 out of 5. I won't fault it too bad. As far as the uniqueness of this, I mean, the fact that other seeds in this very same video have come up with it proves that it's not unique at all. It's like a 1, maybe a 1.5 out of 5 to account for the fact that there's lots of it. The utility value of having so much Cherry Grove, I mean, ultimately it's nice, and having bees here is great, but it's just, it isn't that high of a value unless you needed specifically pink wood. There is nothing else in this seed to lure you in. It's just terrain that happens to be near a mountain, and so I think for utility we give this a 1, and the only question now is the Nether. I think the seed is beautiful, but I think beautiful is not what makes people want to load up a seed. I think you load up a seed to make your touch on something, and it's, you know, nice to see a bunch of, you know, sometimes the terrain is so good that you can make your touch from it and it inspires you, but you don't get that here. But what do you get in the Nether is my question, and the answer might just shock you. Find out more in part 2, coming soon. I'm just kidding, this is gonna be the end here. This is the Basalt Delta. You spawn on an island, so survival island, but the hard way. That's a fun idea for a dumb video. Survival island, but it's in the Nether. Yeah, I would say this is a fun and goofy Nether if you don't value your life. Is this a good... Oh my god, it's so bad. Every direction. This might have to be... Honestly, this is Minecraft's newest Seed Finder seed, but it's also the only 0 out of 5 on the entire list. There is no redeemable quality in this entire place. It's basalt delta as far as the eye can see, and so I recommend this seed if you want to have a bad never experience. That is, sadly, Minecraft's newest one is very close to the bottom. Okay, now I'm going to put every single one of the seed names and the ranking that I gave it on screen in one place so you can easily reference. Hopefully that's useful. I do need to give the standard disclaimer here that obviously this is based on my opinion. I'm one person. I've been playing Minecraft for 11 years, but I obviously have my own standard preferences, and I think it's important to note that, yeah, everyone does have different preferences. You can never remove bias fully from something, no matter how much you try, and I have tried, but it is important just to say that, like, yeah, it is obviously going to vary based on your own opinion, but hopefully it's something you enjoyed regardless. If you enjoyed the last just over an hour of a life that you've spent, please do consider subscribing to the channel. It's something that I really would appreciate. Things are always turbulent here on YouTube, and your subscriptions and support really do remind me that it's worth doing stuff like this. And so if you'd like to see more, please do subscribe, because this is the channel where we go into everything Bedrock, weird, standard, and everything in between. So I look forward to seeing you next time. Anyway, goodbye.